Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Go. On the national news this hour from Babagbagede Imo Television, first the headlines. Nnamdi Kanu accepts Supreme Court ruling. These reasons are unacceptable. NLC threatens Tinubu. Nigeria will flourish under Tinubu. Can precedents. Man arrested in Adamawa for allegedly killing court clerk who went to serve him with court summons. On sports, they will play with 4 forwards. Coach of Ivory Coast reveals difficulties in facing the Super Eagles of Nigeria. I am Moriri Revila Lawal. The news in detail. Ifeanyi Ejiofor, the lead counsel to the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, has said his client has accepted the verdict by the Supreme Court, which keeps him in detention. Kanu is currently in the custody of the Department of State Services while facing charge bordering on terrorism and treasonable felony. Despite an appeal court ruling setting him free for being wrongfully extradited to Nigeria, the federal government got a Supreme Court ruling that stated that his trial for terrorism and treason should commence at the Federal High Court. Reacting at GL4 after his weekly visit to his client in the custody of the DSS, said the IPOB leader was fully briefed on the salient findings of the Apex Court. The eventual verdict of the Supreme Court was conveyed to Onyendu Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and expressed reservations on the outcome. However, Onyendu elected to accept this outcome because of the finality of the Supreme Court decisions and not because they are infallible, but because they are infallible for the fact that the Supreme Court is the final court in the land. Moving on to the next story. The Nigeria Labour Congress NLC has threatened President Bola Tinubu and Dr. Olayemi Cardoso, the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria CBN, over scarcity of cash in Nigerian banks. However, first period, Ojo Ajaero, the national president of the NLC, reeled out the several implications of the situations on Nigerians and called on the government to take urgent steps towards addressing it. Recall that Nigerians have had cause to complain about the inability to access cash in banks for their daily needs despite the CBN assurance to address the situation. The banks have been rationing cash over the counter and many automatic teller machines, ATMs, are not dispensing cash. But the NLC in a statement said the President Tinubu-led federal government and the CBN should expect mass public protest should nothing be done to address the shortage of the Nigerian currency. Ajaero maintained that the ill-conceived and ill-implemented currency redesign policy that Nigerians experienced earlier this year was still fresh in their minds and they would not tolerate a repeat of naira scarcity in the country. The president of the Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, Dr. Dan Oko, has assured that Nigeria will flourish under the tenure of the President Bola Tinubu in a homily delivered at the 2023 service of the 9 lessons and carols with a theme, Emmanuel, Our Hope of Glory, organized in the presidential villa by the First Lady Senator Oluremi Tinubu. On Tuesday, he said Nigerians are looking forward to this year's Christmas with renewed hope. He expressed confidence that things would indeed be better for the country. The current president noted that this year's Christmas is the first since President Tinubu was elected and his victory was affirmed by the Supreme Court. Oko admonished that the election has come and gone and there is a precedent in place now, saying that there can only be one president at a time. Consequently, he stressed the need for love and for people to ensure genuine reconciliation over the oath that may have felt in the course of the 2023 general elections. All individuals should be voices of reconciliation, not crisis and division. This is the time to let go of all bitterness and anger, he said. Oko noted that Christmas is not just a celebration, but should be a time of reconciliation, urging citizens to use the season to reach out to their enemies as well. The police in Adamawa State have arrested a 43-year-old man identified as Linus Dimas, a resident of Kugama Wuro, Jibir, Mayo Belwa local government area for allegedly killing a court clerk who went to serve him a court summon. In a statement released, the spokesperson of the police state command, SP Suleiman Ungoroje, says on December 18 that the suspects rejected a court summons served to him from Yauba Usman, a staff of Nasarawa Jaren area court, and stabbed him with a knife severely, thereby inflicting death cut on him. Ungoroje said the court clerk was immediately rushed to the nearest hospital, but he was confirmed there. He added that the State Commissioner of Police has directed that the case be strictly investigated. An Ekiti State Chief Magistrate Court in Ado Ekiti has sentenced 58-year-old Nuruddin Ibrahim to 5 years imprisonment with hard labor over conspiracy and false pretense with intent to defraud and indecent assault. Ibrahim appeared before the court on a 3-count charge bordering on conspiracy, false pretense with intent to defraud and indecent assault. The charge reads that the defendant and others now at large in the month of December 2019 in Aramoko Ekiti, in Ekiti West local government area of Ekiti State, did conspire to commit felony, to wit, felony also did under false pretense with intent to defraud obtain 10.4 million naira from one Yinka and as well indecently assault the complainant. The police prosecutor, Inspector Elijah Adejari, said the offences were punishable under sections 516, 419 and 353 of the Criminal Code Cap 16, Laws of Ekiti State of Nigeria 2012. Adejari called 7 witnesses and tendered statements of the victim and that of the defendant, statement of account of the victim, photographs of the victim on the sickbed, fetish materials and a Toyota Camry car, among others, as exhibits. The defendant, who spoke in his defense through his counsel, Busuyi Ayorinde, denied some of the allegations but admitted to having obtained 8 million naira from the victim. Delivering his judgment, Magistrate Olaton Wadaramola said, "I found the defendant not guilty for the offense of conspiracy. He is discharged and acquitted." Justice Bayo Taiwo of the Oyo State High Court, sitting in Ibadan on Thursday, December 14, 2023, convicted and sentenced Olaniyan Gbenga Amos, the founder of Crime Alert, to 75 years imprisonment for multiple investment fraud. The 45-year-old convicted alongside his firm, Detorid Heritage Investment Limited. They were prosecuted on 35-count charges by the Ibadan Zonal Command of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, bordering on obtaining by false pretenses, contrary to Section 1, Bracket 1, Bracket A, and punishable under Section 1, Bracket 3 of the Advanced Fee Fraud and Other Fraud-Related Offences Act 2006. Last year, at the peak of his court case, a witness of the EFCC, Juliet Odogu, head of Counterterrorism and General Investigation Department, EFCC Ibadan Zonal Office, revealed how Amos defrauded over 2,000 investors of a total of 135 million naira. Amos had introduced a product known as Crime Alert Security Network. Odogu had explained that EFCC received over 2,000 petitions from Nigerians that Amos defrauded them of their hard-earned money after refusing to fulfill his obligation of repaying their dividends. The witness said that investors paid between 5,000 naira to 9 million naira, depending on their subscriptions. She tendered a document containing the names, amount paid, and receipt of each customer that petitioned the agency before the court. According to the EFCC, Amos is also accused of obtaining the sum of 15 million naira from Fadipe Ayorinde when you forcefully represented to him that the money is meant for registration and investment with Crime Alert Security Network with a promise of 30% return on investment in 6 weeks, which representation you knew to be false and thereby committed an offense contrary to Section 1, Bracket I, Bracket A, and punishable under Section Bracket 3 of the Advanced Fee Fraud and Other Fraud-Related Offences Act of 2016. Lastly, on sports. Head coach of the senior national team of Cote d'Ivoire, the host of next year's Africa Cup of Nations, Jean-Louis Gazet, says the main issue teams faced with the play against the Super Eagles is the options they have in stock and attack. Nigeria is in the same group with the host Cote d'Ivoire, Equatorial Guinea, and Guinea-Bissau. Both teams will clash in their second group game, and Gazet sees it as the game that will likely determine who finishes as group winners, as they are both favourites to progress. You expect it to be Nigeria and Cote d'Ivoire, but it doesn't work that way. So we have to respect the other teams in the group and not focus more on the game against Nigeria. Guinea-Bissau is our immediate concern, the coach said in quote in French media. He was asked what are his fears about facing Nigeria, who are blessed with some of the finest forwards in Africa at the moment, led by the current African Footballer of the Year, Victor Osimhen. Bundesliga fast-rising forward Victor Boniface feared League One forward Terry Murphy, an Atlanta top scorer for last season in the Serie A, Ademola Lookman. Nigeria can play with 4 strikers, and that is the problem for most teams because they can score from any angle, not a particular player like Osimhen. We have to find a way like every other team has played against them. We play against them in our second game, the 70-year-old concluded. With that sports story, we've come to the end of today's national news. Before we go, some headlines. Nnamdi Kanu accepts Supreme Court ruling, Concise says. These reasons are unreasonable, NLC threatens Tinubu and CBN. Nigeria will flourish under Tinubu can President promises. Man arrested in Adamawa for allegedly killing court clerk who went to serve him with court summons. On sport, they play with 4 forwards. Coach of Ivory Coast revealed difficulties in facing Super Eagles of Nigeria at AFCON. For updates of our broadcast on YouTube, our handle is Baba Bagede Imo Television. Kindly subscribe and click on the notification bell selected from all to access all of our broadcasts. On Facebook, Bagede Imo with Alawi Adibayo. Please like and follow the page. Thank you for watching. I am Mauriri Rabila Lawal. Good afternoon.
Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.